Hello, welcome to yoga class today. Today's class is called Mind Over Matter. And this class is really all about concentration. We're actually only going to come into 6 different postures, but we'll need time in each one of those postures to really set ourselves up to check in with how we're coming into those poses and giving ourselves time to feel into the pose. Now, all of these postures have to do with our focal point, our drishti, and the fact that we need concentration, particularly for some of them that are balanced postures. Bringing our awareness to the present moment and focusing our attention on our breath, the movement, alignment, and the challenging parts of the poses will in turn help to improve our concentration. So before we even get started with the postures, which will be from a standing position, we are going to start grounded for our breath work. So start to think about what's going to be a comfortable seat for you. And also some props that you might need for this practice will be a strap. You might need this for one of the poses. If you don't have a strap, don't worry, you can use a belt or a scarf or maybe even a rolled up towel. And then you might want to have blocks as well, which will also be helpful depending on your reach when we come into some of the poses. So I'm going to actually use these blocks right now to sit on. I've got my shins and the tops of my feet down on the mat as my foundation. So I'm going to lift up and I'm going to position the blocks underneath my seat. And the reason why I like to do that is because this now opens up the angle at my knees, so that's more comfortable. And then I take my feet to hug the blocks. So I'm in a supported, lifted hero pose. This is actually one of my favorite ways to be for meditation. And before we come into our breath work today, I'd just like to read you just a little something from a brand new book that I got. It's called 365 Ways to Raise Your Frequency. My brother gave this to me for my birthday. If you like the reading that I give you and are interested in this book, it's by Melissa Alvarez, and I'm happy to share this information with you. So I like to read a little bit each morning, and I knew that I wanted to share this class about concentration and mind over matter, and I happened to find a little page that had to do with that. So I just want to share just a little bit to give you an intention for yourself as we move through this practice. If you are having problems focusing and often find that you're daydreaming or staring at the page in front of you without comprehending what you're reading, it's probable that your concentration has gone on the fritz. So focus by bringing yourself to center. You can increase your energy with crystals. A loss of concentration is often caused by avoidance because you really don't want to do the project or whatever it is. Or boredom, which leads to being easily distracted. When you find that you're bored or avoiding what you're supposed to be concentrating on, stand up, stretch to wake up your muscles, then sit back down and do at least 3 more things that will get you closer to completion. Then take a break. You'll make yourself work further and give yourself a reward, which is always a positive thing. Push yourself harder when your focus is distracted. Just a little something to think about. If you have your own intention that you'd like to set for yourself or your practice today, please feel free to do so, and then set yourself up in a comfortable position for our breath work today. Now, the breath work that we're going to practice is called box breathing. This is a breathing technique to focus the mind. So this is a nice transition from what we've already done in the day to our practice. And the box breathing goes like this. There are 4 different stages, so it's like a box. On the first one, we're inhaling for a count of 5 seconds. Then we hold for 5 seconds. We exhale for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds, and then we repeat by inhaling for 5 and going all around the box again. So this is a nice breathwork technique to do for 1 to 3 minutes. I'll time us so you don't have to worry about that. We're gonna start off with 1 minute. So go ahead and just relax the shoulders. We're gonna start in about 5 seconds. And once your shoulders are relaxed away from your ears, prepare to start. Take an inhale breath for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now retain and hold the breath for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, slowly release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold between the exhale and the inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold at the top of the breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let it go. Come back to your natural breath. So that was 1 full minute of box breathing, and we only did 2 rounds. So you could do this for 2 to 3 minutes if you feel like you could do 4 to 6 rounds. When we're starting a new breathwork technique, it can take a little bit to get used to. So starting off with 1 minute is a really nice way to start. So just let that breath go. Find your neutral breath, the way that you naturally breathe without force or control. Maybe you even take a deep inhalation to the top of the breath. And as you exhale, open your mouth, take a sigh of relief, let it go. Good. Now this is our point where we're going to move from being grounded in our breath work and in our opening of our practice to standing. Know that we are going to be on our feet as we support ourselves for these 6 postures. And when we're finished with those 6 postures, we'll come back down for a little guided meditation to help us concentrate going into the rest of our day. So let's go ahead and come onto our feet. Go ahead and take your blocks out to the side if you used them to sit on. And find your way to your standing position so that we're coming into our mountain pose. This is where we bring our feet down to the mat. Soles of the feet are connected. The feet are hip distance. We've got enough space between the feet to see about 6 inches or so between the feet. You might lift the toes, spread them wide, and then place them back down. And then just let the shoulders melt away from the ears. We're going to start off with tree pose, Vrksasana. This posture is going to help us to balance, and something that I want you to think about in this pose is your drishti, your gaze, where you're looking. Oftentimes, if we can find a space to look at, that's going to help stabilize us in the balanced pose. So starting off in tree pose, I like to start by taking my hands to my hips, and then I shift weight to one leg as I lift the heel of the opposite leg. Now for tree pose, you can scoot the toes over towards the standing foot. This is our option 1. Toes can stay grounded. If you feel wobbly here, then you can take your hand to a wall space. The wall space will certainly be helpful as you take higher level options. So option 1, moving into option 2, we lift the toes off the mat and bring the arch of the foot to the calf muscle of the standing leg. Maybe option 2 feels good to you. Maybe you need just a little bit of time to adjust yourself and really feel that grounded foot finding its place on the mat to stabilize and hold your entire body. Remember the wall, you can always come to it. And if you want to go even deeper, you can take your hand to assist your foot, bringing it to your inner thigh. Knee is out to the side. This is also a hip opener in combination with a standing balance. Now know that the more you press your foot to your inner thigh, the more that's going to help your stability and balance. Tree pose. Now this is a really good time to find a drishti, a focal point, something in front of you to gaze at. I recommend finding something that is not moving. This might be something on the floor, it might be directly in front of you, it might be up a little higher. You might even close your eyes. Closing your eyes is going to give you a totally different sensation, and that's definitely going to intensify the challenge of this pose. So if you start to feel really wobbly and uncomfortable, you'll want to open your eyes. You can also play around with the positioning of your hands. You can take your hands from your hips to your heart center. Or like a tree, you can grow your branches, reaching the arms up. And then from here, if the arms are up, you can bring them down, back to the hips. If you feel super comfortable here and you need some more intensity in your challenge, you can practice rising up on the ball of your standing foot. Just see what happens there. My balance feels a little off today, so I'm having trouble lifting my heel up, but try lifting your heel up. See how that feels. And then to come out, as you inhale, take your knee to center, lift it up, and then exhale, take that foot down. Now, switch the weight over to this leg. Lift the heel of the leg that you just had standing. And as you lift the heel, feel a nice stretch in the arch of your foot. You can draw circles with your knee so that you're stretching the bottom of the foot and just releasing any tension there. And this leg that we're moving around is now going to be the leg that we lift up. So get grounded in your standing leg. Then when you're ready, slide the toes over to your standing foot. Decide if you want to stay with option 1, or maybe you lift your foot, bringing the arch of your foot to your calf muscle for option 2. Remember, you can go over to the wall if you need support. There is no shame in getting support. Props are awesome for our practice. They're safe. And then you could come into option 3, taking the hand to assist, guiding the sole of the foot to the inner thigh. Give yourself a moment to find that balance. The body may be shifting around a little bit. The hands can move from the hips to the heart center. This is a nice place to find your drishti, coming back to that focal point that's going to help you stabilize in your balanced posture. And once you find that focal point, maybe you lift the arms up, growing the tree branches. Tree pose. Enjoy it. Hold and breathe. Decide if you want to practice closing your eyes if you're ready for that challenge. If not, that's okay. If the arms are lifted, you can go ahead and bring them back down to the hips. If the eyes are closed, you can go ahead and open them. And here is where you can practice rising up on the ball of your foot by lifting your standing heel if that feels accessible. This is a really advanced option, so you can opt out of it. Don't feel like you have to do it. And once the heel comes back down, inhale, lift the knee, exhale, set the foot down, shift weight to that side, lift the heel of the leg that was just standing, and then rotate around. Find some circles. This is also really great for ankle mobility. Maybe you take it in the opposite direction. And then send the foot down. All right, so moving on, we're gonna come into eagle pose. Eagle pose incorporates the arms and the legs. We're gonna break it down. We're gonna do the arms first, then the legs, then see if we wanna combine the two. So starting with the arms, this is gonna be an awesome shoulder stretch. Inhale, reach the fingers out in opposite directions. As you exhale, cross one arm over the other, and then bend the elbows, lift the fingers up towards the ceiling. Now, see if you can bring your palms together. If you cannot comfortably bring your palms together, then you can take your hands to opposite shoulders. Now, if your hands are together, keep the shoulders low and just lift the elbows. hold and breathe. Two more rounds of breath. One more. Exhale, gently unwind the arms. Inhale, reach the fingers out. Exhale, now cross opposite arm on top. Bend the elbows, see if the hands connect. Remember, if the palms don't meet, you can take your hands to opposite shoulders. If the palms do connect, keep the shoulders low, just lift the elbows. Hold and breathe. On the next exhale, slowly unwind the arms. Inhale, reach them out. Exhale, set the arms down. Take a full round of breath here. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, let it go. All right, now let's try the legs. One foot is going to stay down. As you bend the knee, lift your other foot and then take the knee over, set the toes down. At the same time, you're going to sit back as if you're sitting in a chair. Now, if you're trying this and you feel really wobbly in the space or really unsupported, then you can try this by coming over to the wall, position your hands to the wall, then set the legs up, crossing the legs, sitting back. As you sit back, you might lower the hands to the wall. Let those toes ground down. So if the toes are grounding down, that's going to be a bigger foundation for you. If you feel like you can go deeper, you can lift the toes and you might even hook the toes behind the leg. Now, if that turns your hips a lot to the side, like it's doing to mine, you might decide to keep the toes down. Maybe you lift them, but you don't have to take the wrap. Sit a little lower, feel that engagement in the legs and the hips. So here we're able to strengthen, building strength in our body through our practice. Now I know this one's a little intense, so we're gonna come out of it. Press to your standing foot, unwind the leg, bring it back over to your starting point. Take a full round of breath. Exhale, let it go. Now let's try the other side. Remember, come over to the wall. Make yourself feel free to use the support of the wall space as a prop. Or if you're comfortable in the free space, now you're gonna soften the knees. Opposite leg crosses over as both knees bend, sit back as if you're looking for a chair. Now, your foot can hover, your toes can tap down, or you can wind the leg, bringing the toes to hook onto the back of the standing leg. Find what your body needs today. Don't worry about how it looks or what level of option you're taking. Just find the one that your body is really enjoying. See if you can sit a little deeper. Feel that engagement. Feel that strength you're building through this pose. Know that it's almost time to come out. Press to your standing foot, unwind the leg, and then make your way back over. So I know that that can be an intense option. As we come into this third round, this is where we're going to incorporate the arms and the legs. As you're doing this, if you feel uncomfortable at all, you can decide to work with just the arms or just the legs. This is totally up to you. I'll demonstrate both. So to practice coming in, we're going to start off with our arms. So we're going to reach the arms out and then cross one arm over the other. Now, setting up your eagle arms, decide if you're going to take your hands to your shoulders or if your palms are going to meet. Now, if your right arm is on top, you're going to bring your right leg on top. So now we're practicing arms and legs. We're still sitting low. If we want to go deeper, we can round the spine and bring the elbows towards the knees, getting flexion for the spine. Or we can stay more upright. Breathe. Lift those elbows if the palms are together. And then press to the standing foot to come out. Unwind, release the arms. Take a full round of breath. Feels so good to stretch the body and to empower ourselves, finding that strength. Remember, mind over matter. All right, let's try the other side. So reaching the fingers out. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, opposite shoulder comes on top. Elbows bend. Maybe the palms meet, or maybe the hands come to the shoulders. Now, coming into the other side. So if your left arm is on top, the left leg is going to cross over. Sit back. Decide if you want to stay upright or if you want to bring the elbows towards the knees, finding flexion for the spine. This is your choice because it's your practice. Eagle pose, Garudasana. Preparing to come out, press your standing foot to the mat. Straighten the legs, release the arms. Now find your breath here for a few rounds. Maybe shake out the legs if you feel like you've got some tension going on. And know that from here, we're going to be coming into Warrior 3 next. So for Warrior 3, this is Virabhadrasana 3. This pose requires focus and concentration as you stabilize your body on one leg and draw your torso parallel to the floor. I'm going to demonstrate how you can do this with the supportive blocks. And just like your gaze, your drishti, if your thoughts start to wander, you may lose your balance. So we're going to find that drishti, the focal point, so that we can set our gaze and our thoughts on that. So using the blocks, you're going to want to position them shoulder distance at their highest height. And then you'll want to step the feet back. From here, I like to come into it by inhale, rise up, fingertips towards the ceiling, and then exhale, bring the thumbs down the midline, hinge at the hips. So we're coming into a half lift. We'll take the hands to the blocks. Now, as we do this, we might want to pause and feel a really great stretch at the hamstrings, the back of the thighs. And you want to position the blocks underneath the shoulders. Now, starting here, the hips are squared. We want to keep the hips squared. We don't want to stack them. So we're going to practice lifting one leg. And as you lift that one leg, flex the foot as if you're pressing the foot up against the wall. You can actually come over to the wall space and do that if it's helpful. You can shift the blocks over if you need to, from one side to the other, depending on how supported you feel. You could also lift your hands off the blocks and bring your hands to your heart center. If at any point your hip stacks, like I was just talking about, send the toes to face down to the mat to re-square the hips. See if you can straighten your standing foot. This is our supported Warrior 3. On your next exhale, gently lower your foot down to the mat. Take an inhale breath. And as you exhale, just fold. Let your arms dangle. If the hamstrings are open, you can keep the legs straight. If the hamstrings are tight, you can bend the knees. That'll be more comfortable. You can also take the option to take your hands to opposite elbows, framing your head with your arms, getting more traction for the spine. Here, I like to bend one knee and straighten the opposite leg. This is a really great stretch. Relax the head and the neck. Crown of the head is facing down. And taking a gentle inversion, dumping out any extra thoughts, so that we can just come back to practicing on concentrating in our movement, mind over matter. Now, if your hands are on opposite elbows, release. Inhale, take a half lift. Take your hands to find your blocks. Back to our starting point, shoulders are above the blocks, in line with the blocks. And now we're gonna lift the opposite leg. So as you inhale, lift that opposite leg. Keep the foot flexed just like it was on the floor. Remember, notice if you're stacking the hip, and if so, lower the toes down to the mat, squaring the hips. Feel a really great stretch in the standing leg. Stay with your hands on the blocks, reaching the crown of the head forward. This is going to be more supportive. Or if you feel like challenging yourself deeper, lift your hands off the blocks and bring your hands to your heart center, or you can fly your arms by your sides. If you're trying either one of those options, notice how much that will shift your balance. I'm feeling a really great stretch at the hip. I'm really liking that. The hips are a part of our body that can use a lot of love and attention. And on your next exhale, just let that left foot come down. Take an inhale breath. And then exhale, let's take another fold. And preparing to come out, inhale, half lift. Take your hands back to the blocks. We're going to keep working with the blocks as we try half moon pose. So this is going to be, again, another balanced posture, Ardha Chandrasana. I'm going to start off with my hand on the block, and I'm going to take the block higher up. The other block I'm just going to remove for now. Now, as my hand stays on the grounded block, I'm going to take my other hand to my hip. Now, once I'm ready, I'll lift the foot that's at the same side of my hand on the hip, flex the foot, press to the standing leg, find your focal point. So maybe you stay with your gaze looking down. If you want to challenge yourself and go deeper, then maybe you lift your fingers up and gaze up. If lifting your fingers is too challenging, then you can bring your hand back down to your hip. Half moon pose, Ardha Chandrasana. Let yourself explore and feel into this movement. And then exhale, come out. Bring the foot down, invite the other block on. Inhale at the half lift. Exhale, fold, check in. Feel the difference from one leg to the other. Notice how much activation is required for that pose. We're moving slow and we're building a lot of strength. Inhale, find the half lift. Hands come back to the blocks. Now you can use the blocks or not. This time I'm going to demonstrate without the blocks so you can see the difference. Starting from our forward fold, I'll bring the fingers down to the mat. Opposite hand I'll bring to the hip of the same side. And then I'll start to lift that foot, flexing the foot, pressing to the standing leg, and then reach the fingers up. Now you stay there. If that is not working for you, then I want to show you another option up against the wall. And I'll show you this option with the block like we started. So if the free space is way too much, way too uncomfortable, especially if this is the first time you're trying it, know that it's accessible by using the wall prop. So what you'll do is you'll come all the way up against the wall and you'll position the block down. Bring your foot, that's the same side of the body as the block, close to the wall, but not all the way because you'll need some room for your hip. Once the foot is positioned, opposite leg is going to reach up and you can take your heel up against the wall. Then lift your fingers up. I've got a funky A-line wall, so I can't extend my arm. But if you can, reach your fingers up to the sky, or you can keep your hand on your hip. Feel your back, your shoulders, your hip, and the heel of your foot pressing to the wall. You'll feel a really nice stretch at the hip, and this is going to be more supported and stable for you. So try this, and if you really like it, then take time to try that option on the other side. So feel free to pause the video and try that on the other side. This also might be a nice time for you to take a sip of water so that you can get hydrated in your practice. It's really important that you just take sips of water during the movement rather than big gulps, because if you're taking big gulps and then we go back into a forward fold, that can feel a little uncomfortable. So just little sips of water, but certainly give yourself an opportunity to stay hydrated. So just to give ourselves a little more time so that you don't have to pause the video if you want to try the wall option on the other side, just want to talk to you about why this posture is important, especially following Warrior 3. So half moon pose works the hips in the opposite direction of Warrior 3, creating openness within the hip joint and concentration of the mind. When we're doing all this to set ourselves up in this pose, it's difficult to let the mind wander in other directions. So I hope you enjoy that one and understand why it's important for us to do it in our bodies. Now we've already gone through 4 postures. We've got 2 more to go. The next one that we're going to come into is dancer's pose, Natarajasana. So this is a posture where you might want your strap, maybe not, but this is a good time to get the strap in case you feel like you'll need that support. So this balance pose takes a lot of focus and attention to detail to create openness and expansion. Concentration in this pose is essential. And don't worry, you can use the wall for support in this one as well if you need to. So I'll demonstrate first without the strap, and then I'll incorporate it if you feel like you need it. So I'm just going to keep the strap on one hand, and then I'll turn to the side so you can see what my body's doing. I'll bring the feet to hip distance, and then I'm going to bend one knee, and I'll catch onto the foot with my hand. Now, if you can't reach your foot with your hand, don't worry. This is where you can include your strap. Now, when you have your knee bent, you'll feel a really nice stretch for your quad muscle. If you are struggling to find that foot, this is where you're going to take your foot into the loop of the strap. And then as you bend the knee, the other end of the strap is going to be in your hand. So you can reach your hand as far back as you want or need to. So setting up from here, the opposite hand reaches forward, and then you'll lean forward. This is where we can take our hand to the wall. Taking your hand to the wall, whether you're using your hand on your foot or the strap. Think about how much you might need to step away from the wall. And then feeling the support of the wall in front of you, you can really get a higher lift. So now we're back bending, opening the front of the body and getting extension for the spine. Try that out. Take a few rounds of breath. See how it feels to do it in the free space. See how it feels to do it with the support of the wall. We'll take one more round of breath before coming out and trying that on the other side. Dancer's pose. So as you come out, carefully and slowly re-ground yourself. Bring your feet back onto the mat. Know that we're coming into the other side. So we'll start off by bending the knee. Opposite leg is straight and grounded. Take your hand to reach for your foot. Bring the knees in line with each other. Pause and feel a really nice stretch at the quad. You might even feel a stretch at the psoas muscle. That will definitely intensify as you fold. Now the opposite arm comes forward. Hinge at the hips, press foot to hand, open the heart, gaze forward. Remember, you can come over to the wall space if this is better for you, especially if this is your first time doing it. Get a higher lift with the foot, gaze forward, and come out when you are ready. Stay for another breath or two if you're really enjoying it and want to stay longer. We've only got one more posture after this one. It's another great time to grab a sip of water if you need to. And then if you were at the wall, go ahead and find your way back onto the mat. Know that for this last standing balance posture, you can always go back to the support of the wall if you need. So this last posture that we're going to explore is called extended hand to big toe pose, Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. That's a mouthful. This is a really fun one. I love this one. I really like hip opening, and this is a great opportunity to get external rotation in the hip. And we're going to do one leg at a time. This is another one where we can incorporate the strap if we need to. So starting off with your hands at your hips, as you inhale, lift one knee so it's in line with the hip. Now, that knee that's lifted, take the same side hand to the shin. So palm meets the shin. This is our option one. To go further in our options, we can take our peace fingers, the index and middle finger, to the big toe, and then practice sending that foot forward, straightening the leg. Now, the leg doesn't have to go all the way straight. The knee can stay bent, so don't stress. Also, if you notice that your shoulder is coming forward, think about bringing it back in line with your other shoulder, even if this means bending the knee. If your leg is straight with no problem at all, then you can open the foot out to the side. Opposite arm can open up. And don't forget, we've got our wall friend that we can come over to for support. Extended hand to big toe pose. The opposite hand would come to the wall if you need the support. Leg can come forward or out to the side. The wall is so helpful in this practice. And by using the wall, it's mind over matter. We're using this helpful guest in our class to let us come into these postures, to access them, to feel them into our body. You don't need to do this all in the free space. You don't need to feel like the props are a weakness. No, props are awesome. I use them all the time. I highly recommend. All right, come out of that side. Shake it off if you need to. We've got one more side to go, and then we get to ground down. Opposite foot grounds. Remember, as you come into this and you inhale, lift opposite knee, hand finds the shin. We can stay here the whole time. We're in a balanced position already here. This is enough if this is where you want to stay, and you can bring your hand to the wall. So decide if this is the option that's working for you today, and if so, stick with it. Now, if you're really comfortable here and you're ready to take it further, remember your peace fingers can hook onto your big toe, or you can take a strap to your foot. So let me demonstrate with the strap for this side. This would be if you really want to get that leg straight. And this is also helpful if one shoulder is coming forward and you want to square the shoulders. So the strap is going to give you more distance between your hand and your foot. You don't have to force. So I like to take the strap low so that I don't have to bend over. So we're working smart. And then we'll place the foot into the loop of the strap or scarf, belt, whatever you're working with. And then from here, inhale, lift the knee up. And then exhale, send the foot forward. Notice how easy it is to keep the shoulders in line with each other. You might even adjust by taking your hand further onto the strap. Remember, you can come over to the wall. If you're comfortable without the wall, you can extend the leg out to the side. Opposite arm comes out. And this is what it would look like if you're using the wall space. hand to the wall, knee up, leg extends, shoulders stay squared, and then the leg comes out. And I've just got my fingertips on the wall. So if you're practicing working away from the wall, you can do that by moving from your palm to your fingertips to then letting go. So that's a really nice transition from going to the wall, off the wall, back to the mat. One more round of breath. And then slowly come out. Awesome. Shake out the legs, shake out the arms, let any tension go. Feel good in this body that lets you move and do so many things. And then think about how you want to come back down onto your mat. I'm going to do the same setup that I had before, which is to stack my blocks. If you don't have blocks, don't worry. You can sit onto a pillow, a meditation pillow, maybe some folded up blankets, whatever's comfortable for you. And then just give yourself a moment to catch your breath. Sometimes in the static poses, especially more challenging postures like standing balances, we feel like maybe we've done some cardio, like our heart rate is working, and that's awesome. That means that you're growing in your practice. So give yourself time to just breathe. Maybe you close your eyes and come back to that natural breath, the way that you breathe without force or control. Exhale, let it go. Now, if your eyes are open, go ahead and close them. Maintain that straight spine, reaching the crown of the head up, rooting down in the seat. As you maintain this comfortable seated position, know that I'm going to guide you through a very short meditation. And this is a concentration bonus. This time of concentrating through this guided meditation is really going to set ourselves up in a good space to move from our practice into the rest of our day. Take a deep inhale through the nostrils. Exhale, open the mouth, let it go. Make sure the eyes are closed. Maintaining the eyes closed during this entire guided meditation. Focus on hearing the sound of your breath. Practice lengthening each inhalation and each exhalation. And again, inhale fully to the top of the breath, all the way until you can't take in any more air. Exhale, slowly let it go. Find your natural breath, the way that you breathe without force or control. And start to visualize the space of your head where your brain resides as being empty, as if your brain was removed and it's just a black space, just emptiness and vastness. And in that dark black space, you see a small fluorescent green bouncy ball, kind of like those bouncy balls that you find in those little gumball machines. And keeping your focus on this green bouncy ball, notice the activity of it. Notice how much it's moving around the inside of your head and all of that free space. Notice if it's bouncing from side to side, or maybe it's moving a little more slowly. Just notice what it's doing. Keep your awareness focused on that bouncy green ball. Keeping your awareness on the green ball, watch it slowly travel towards the space of your neck. and slowly find its way down your throat, into your chest, to your heart center. And as the green bouncy ball makes its way to your heart center, notice there's also space there for it to move around with freedom. Notice the pace. Notice the pace slow down all the way until that green bouncy ball finds complete stillness at your heart. And from the green ball, see the green light radiate, making your entire heart space and chest shine with green, the color of our heart chakra, anahata, embracing love and compassion for yourself in this time of focus and concentration. Feel the energy of this green light. Feel the warmth in your heart space. Notice that that green bouncy ball is starting to wiggle around, starting to move again, starting to pick up speed little by little, starting to roll around, and then finding a bounce, more activity, moving from the heart space, from the chest up towards the base of the neck, using its energy to travel up the throat back into the head space. And all you see is that fluorescent green moving around with happiness, taking up your thinking space. Notice how it's moving. Notice what it wants to do. Notice any patterns. And then watch it slow back down, back to stillness. Green light shining, so bright and cheerful and happy. Slowly start to let the visual of the greenness go. And watch it slowly disappear. And once the image of it is completely gone, start to flutter your eyes open, coming back into the space. From here, take your hands open outside of the hips. Inhale, sweep the arms up, reach the fingers to the sky. Let the palms meet. Exhale, bring the thumbs down the midline. Thumbs find the heart center. Maybe you still feel the warmth that you felt when the green ball was there. Inhale deeply. Exhale, let go. Close your eyes one more time and visualize yourself moving off of your mat into the rest of your day. Now with your concentration sharpened, ready to focus on the tasks ahead. Let the eyes flutter open. Thank you so much for joining me in this practice today. It's my honor to guide you. The light in me sees, honors, and recognizes the light within you. Namaste.